excited about science? It's going to be a fun day.
So today what we're going to do is we are going to talk about ecosystems. So we have one main question that we're going to focus on all day long, which is how do ecosystems change over time? So raise your hand with some ideas as to how ecosystems change.
It can be anything. You guys don't have to worry about, if you don't know for sure, just guess. Because right now we're just going to try to get a broad understanding of things that affect the ecosystem.
Allison? Weather?
Good one.
Good. What about weather?
I think like weather patterns or
That's good.
types of weather, severe weather.
What else? Could be any ecosystem you want. Yes, Carly.
Maybe like different animals.
Animals?
What can animals do to change ecosystems?
I don't know.
Allison, do you have any ideas?
Their population could change.
That's good.
And if the population of one animal changes, do you guys think that it will affect the other type of animals in that ecosystem?
Yeah.
Food chain.
Try to think of one more thing that has an effect on ecosystems and how they change.
Like people, like humans,
What do humans do?
like not good things to ecosystems sometimes.
What's not a good thing?
Deforestation.
That problem. So today we are going to talk a lot about ecosystems.
So what we're learning is obviously we're learning about the changes in ecosystems and that over the years our ecosystems have changed, and sometimes they can change for the better or sometimes unfortunately they change for the worse. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over a few notes so we can be introduced to some vocabulary, and then we're going to have an activity where we're going to actually get involved in our own ecosystem here in Ohio and pick an animal and figure out how we can actually help those animals by helping the ecosystem they live in. And this is important so we can understand and explain the behavior of living things in our ecosystem.
Okay, so we're going to start with this PowerPoint up here, and you guys have your guided notes out on your tables, so just fill in the blanks as we go with this PowerPoint. So first, we're going to talk about what an ecosystem is. Who can read that first bullet point for me up there? Carly?
A system that includes all living organisms in an area as well as its physical environment functioning together as a unit.
Good job. So an ecosystem, that includes everything that's in the environment. So the animals, the plants, soil, rocks, minerals, and the water sources. So it's everything that's around the environment.
Our next definition is carrying capacity. Allison, can you read that definition for us?
The maximum equilibrium number of organisms of a particular species that can be supported indefinitely in a given environment.
What does that mean? Carrying capacity means. Let's kind of try to break it down. What does the word capacity mean? Allison?
Like in rooms, sometimes they have the capacity, right? And so that's the biggest number of people that can be in that room.
That's a good correction.
Good job.
So carrying capacity is the number of organisms and species that can be in a certain ecosystem. So we'll be talking a lot about that today.
So before we read the next bullet point, does anybody have any idea what population growth is? So think of our ecosystems and think population growth, think what population means, think what growth means. Can anyone make a guess or have any idea what they think that is? Population. So what does population mean?
The number of things in the environment.
Yeah, just the population. So like we have if they say population, it's number of people, number of things. And then growth always also means it's
Increasing.
exactly. So a type of thing is increasing.
So the definition for population growth is the rate or speed at which the number of organisms increases. So when you look at population growth, you're looking at how fast something grows. Do you guys know what it would be called if something didn't grow, if the population went down? Instead of growth, what would that word be? Guess how many
We'll give
ideas?
you
Allison?
Decline.
Decline would be good. Also population deficit could be if it grows down, which is something we might be talking about that a little later too, with populations that go down, so we're looking at the population deficit as well.
So when we get later on, when we do our activities, the animal that you pick might have a population growth or their population may decline, and we have to figure out why, or why you guys think that.
Who can read the definition for ecological succession?
The gradual and orderly process of change in an ecosystem brought about by the gradual replacement of one community by another until a stable climax is established.
Oh, what does that mean?
That one's a little tricky. These are the ones we are going to focus on.
So what an ecological succession is the way in which the ecosystem changes. So there can be different factors that influence how it changes. And this just talks about how long or how short it takes to change. And there's two specific types of succession that we're going to talk about. The first being primary succession. And what primary succession is a disturbance that completely destroys a community and there's no remains of an older community. So that'd be something that would happen that would just destroy everything.
So completely destroy everything that's in that ecosystem. So all the plants, animals, soil, and everything just completely gone. The second one is known as secondary succession. And that occurs after the disturbance and affects the community, but does not completely destroy the whole community. So that means some remains of the old ecosystem is still there, but the majority of it has been destroyed. Alright, so you guys have your guided notes in front of you, and we just talked about what the ecological successions are. Can anyone remind me what the two of them are? There's two of them. Yes, Carly?
Primary and secondary.
That's right, primary and secondary. So, we're going to do a think, pair, share real quick, just to make sure you guys really have grasped the idea of those two. So we're going to pair up, and first thing you're going to do is discuss what primary and secondary succession is. So make sure each of you know what that means. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Maybe your partner can help you further explain. And then you're going to try and think of a real life example. There's plenty of them. Try to think of an example of a primary and secondary succession that either you've seen, you experienced, probably haven't experienced it, or that you've seen pictures of or you heard about a long time ago or currently. Okay? So pair up. We'll give you about
4 minutes. And then
4
we'll talk
minutes
about
to
it.
do. So you guys can discuss.
Okay.
So primary succession is when it just completely goes away.
Yeah, it destroys like everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit
Gather back.
about this. So what did you guys say primary succession is?
Did you guys think of an example of one?
Yeah.
What example did you think of?
Hawaii.
Oh, so like how Hawaii, does anyone know how Hawaii was formed? With a hurricane and the eruptions and the lava?
From a volcano.
Volcano?
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I meant. So that one is, which one did you guys say?
We said that would be the primary.
That's right, because that knocked out the whole, everything got destroyed. But now, as we know it, there's plenty of living things that are now in Hawaii, and actually it's a really nice place to go now. So good job.
So what about secondary? Did you guys think of some examples for that?
Yeah, we thought of more examples for that one.
What are a few of your examples for secondary?
We thought of like forest fires.
That's a good one. Do you think in Ohio we have many forest fires? Could we have forest fires?
We probably could, but I don't think I've heard of any
Yeah.
big ones. Like
Yeah, we-
in,
Colorado.
yeah, in the west.
Yeah. Does anyone know why? Maybe.
Well, we don't have as many forests.
That's true.
And it's hotter over there.
Hot in the heat. Okay. Did you think of any other ones since you guys said that was a little bit easier?
Floods.
The floods.
Floods. That's right.
And then like hurricanes.
Like
really
New
bad.
Orleans.
Oh, that is a really good one. So that really destroyed that community and that ecosystem, but they're rebuilding. So
There's
that's
still some remains. It didn't totally wipe everything out like the volcanoes didn't Hawaii. So do you guys feel a little more comfortable with succession and primary and secondary? Thumbs up or thumbs down? You feel good about it?
Yeah.
Are we sure? Do we have any questions? If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
Good. Okay. So now that we know all of this awesome vocabulary, we are going to do a little active student response. So I want you guys to grab your whiteboards, and we are going to read off some of the definitions for you guys and see if you remember what they are.
And feel free if you need your notes. That's totally okay. Try first not to use it to test yourself, but if you need to, you may look.
All right. So write the word down that means the rate or speed at which the number of organisms in a population increases. Awesome. Population
job.
growth. Good job.
And do you guys remember, this might be tricky, this isn't in our notes, but what is it called if the population doesn't increase it?
Deficit.
Deficit. What's
Good
that mean
job.
when it goes down?
Down.
Good job. All right, the next one is the maximum equilibrium number of organisms of a particular species that can be supported in an environment. So the largest
Good job,
amount of
Heather.
organisms you can have.
Good job, Allison.
Awesome, carrying
Good job.
capacity. Okay, next, what about, this is a disturbance that completely destroys a community with no remains.
Completely.
Everything is gone.
There's no remains at all. You guys, one of the examples you guys gave was Hawaii and the volcano.
Awesome, primary succession.
Good job.
Now what about there's a disturbance that affects the community but it does not completely destroy everything? Yeah. Good job. Secondary
Perfect.
succession. Okay, the last one. A system that includes all living organisms in an area as well as its physical environment functioning together as a unit. What does that mean? What's that word? Great job.
Good job.
Ecosystem. Awesome. So, now that we all know all of the words, we were just able to see that you guys knew all of them. We will go into our little project that we're going to do today. So I need you guys to pair up. Okay, and you can use the iPad that is down on your desk. If you look at the iPad, there's a website that's already pulled up for you on there. In that website, on this side, it has a list of a bunch of different animals that you can see. And what we're going to do with this is you're going to research whatever animal you guys choose. So you want to take another minute just to look at the animals, talk about them with each other, and see which one you want to choose.
And also, these are animals that are found in Ohio, right?
Yes.
So we're going to focus more in the Ohio ecosystem that's near us and around us.
Which animal do you want to do?
Ooh, what about that one? The ringneck pheasant.
I've never heard that one before. But we should do that one.
Which one did you guys pick?
The ringneck pheasant.
Oh,
That's a
That
good one.
sounds good.
All right, now what you guys are going to do with that is we're going to give you some time to put in the iPad and research that animal. So a few things that you guys are going to need to have is the population of the animal for the past 10 to 20 years. So you'll want to look up and figure out what the population was. So that's one thing you're going to need to find. Another thing that we're going to need you to find is just some facts about the animal. So you'll need some facts about the animal's habitat, what their ideal ecosystem is like, where they like to live, and then you can even research that area a little more and see if there's anything that has happened in the area, a primary or secondary succession that may have happened that explains the population, because you might find some trends in here. There's either going to be a population growth or a deficit. And what you're going to do with these two pieces of information is you're going to take the population for the past 10 to 20 years and you're going to graph it. And then you're going to take all these facts that you learned and combine them with your graph. And you're going to write a letter to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. And in that letter, what you're going to do is explain to them the trend of this animal in the past 10 to 20 years, how their population is. If their population is growing, then you will talk about what they can keep doing to keep the population growing from what you learned with these facts that you found. If you find that the population is declining, if there's a population deficit, then you're going to take all this information right here. If you found any successions that may have occurred, you'll include those in there and say, hey, this is what happened, this is what we think you can do, this is what the ring-necked pheasant likes, so let's be able to provide them with that. So we're going to give you guys the rest of the class period today to work on that and to make your graph, and then what you'll do is present that to the class, and then we will send the letters over to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to hopefully get some feedback from them as to what they're doing to help these populations. So we'll give you guys some time on the iPad.
One thing to remember though, once you already collect your 10 to 20 years, make sure you have all the data that you need. And then when you go graph it, one thing that we're really going to look at is to see if you chose the best type of graph. So we're going to leave it up to you guys to decide which graph you guys think will be the most successful in showing population growth or decrease, and then be able to explain like why you picked that graph to show and explain the data on your graph, okay? So make sure you really take time to think about what graph and how you're going to use that.
You guys have questions about this assignment at all? Any questions? Or are you good?
Yeah. Do you want us to draw the graph or make it on the computer?
Why don't you make a little sketch of it that you can draw it, just to kind of so you can see the trend, and then if you want to make it a little neater, you can go on the computer and do the rest. But at least get a little sketch that you do by your hand to see. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so we'll give you guys some time to work.
So make sure you're all doing part of the work.
Okay, so now that we've had a lot of time to work, and you guys had last night at home to kind of finalize your letter and your graph and talk to each other, we are going to have you present that to us. So if you guys can come up to the front of the room and read your letters and then talk a little bit about your graphs.
Exciting. So you really just show us your graph and give us like a few facts of how you think you could help the environment.
Oh yeah, so we chose the ring-necked pheasant, and we learned that its population rate is declining at an alarming rate.
Oh no.
And it's something we really don't feel comfortable with and we want to change.
So we wrote our letter and we told them that their ideal living situation, where it is, and what they eat, their food supply, and
Can we see your graph?
Yeah, let's see your graph.
Yeah, see how
Oh wow.
it's definitely declining.
Yeah.
from
Those
So-
bird watchers are going to be sad if they
I
can't.
know, they're really pretty birds.
yeah, from 1980 it went down a lot till today.
Very good. Good job,
Thank you.
Carly
So
and
you can turn
Allison.
those letters in and we will look
Thank
over
you.
them and then send those in.
Okay, real quick, since we've already since we are, to close this lovely lesson about ecosystems, we are going to go back to the concept map that we first did. If you flip over your guided notes, you can see that we have a little concept map. And let's see if we come up with anything else that has resulted into changes in the ecosystems. So is there any other things that you can think of? You guys can just shout them out if you would like. Yes, Allison.
Natural disasters.
Natural disasters. And what are some of the ones that we just got done talking about?
Like hurricanes and volcanoes and tornadoes.
And do you guys remember what words that we use of different types? There's two of them, they end in succession.
Primary and secondary.
Primary.
There you go, so now we know about that. Okay, what about one more change that we didn't already know? Do you guys have any more?
Did we say animals?
Well, we can do animals again because as you guys learned through your activity, what animals decreasing in population?
The ringneck pheasant.
Yeah, exactly. So the changes in population affects the ecosystem. All right, does anyone have any other questions? No more questions?
Okay, well we will
All
send
right.
your letters in tomorrow morning and hopefully we'll hear something back from them about the ringneck pheasant.
Good job, class. See you later.